In this section of the video, we will be transforming your wood from a basic block to your car body. We will break this into sections. Shaping your car is the longest part of the build. First, let's talk about tools. In a junior high or high school manufacturing class, you will find power tools that will make this process way faster and easier, like a table saw, band saw, maybe even a scroll saw, drill press, and sanders. Building at home, we are going to do things a little differently. Let's go to our workspace. If using a kitchen table or desk, be sure to cover it with cardboard, newspaper, and/or a throwaway tablecloth. Now let's lay out what we need. You are going to need all of this and maybe more, depending on your design. Safety glasses, mask, coping saw, rotary tool, block, and clamp. Now, let's talk about the axle slots. They are not ideal, but they allow you to build without a drill or a jig. If I were going to race this vehicle in a race that required axle slots, I would buy some 2-part epoxy and fill the slots. There are 2 ways that I have seen this done. Both have you put a piece of masking tape on each side to keep the epoxy from running out. The first way, if you have some spare axles you can throw away, is to mark 2 or 4 of them with a Sharpie at 3/8 of an inch from the tip. You can also put a wheel on and use it to mark your axles. You then insert them with a penny, like this. You can push them in if you are strong enough, or you can tap them in if you are careful. They go in right up to that black line. That leaves the nail sticking out just enough for the wheel. You then mix up a small amount of epoxy and pour it into the slots. Wait at least overnight. Then take a pair of pliers and carefully pull out the nails, giving them just a slight twist helps. The pliers ruin the head of the nails, so you have to throw those away. Another way is to fill the slots with epoxy. Wait for it to cure, and then drill your axle holes a couple of days later. That's the way I prefer to do it. Since most of you likely don't have any 2-part epoxy, the final way, which is the way I'm going to recommend if you are building this yourself without help, is to skip doing anything with the axle slots and look for a penny that you can put with your car building supplies. You will likely need it to help you install your axles after your car is all done. Next up, we're going to do what I call roughing it in. Let's start with unwrapping your coping saw and getting the blade in correctly. You are going to need an older, stronger person to help, and or an edge that you can push against. When they wrapped it, they put the blade in upside down and backwards. In order to be able to cut, you're going to need to hold this right here, turn this handle loose, and then you need something that you can push against, like the edge of a table, so that you can get the blade free. You need to turn it around so that the teeth are facing forward and hook it back in. It's probably easier with your small hands to get a parent or an older sibling to help you get the blade installed. Let's go ahead and make our cuts. When cutting with the coping saw, I recommend you put one knee down in a position like this, and then clamp up your wood and begin cutting. Now, how do we do this area? It's called an inside cut. We need to open the rotary toolkit. Please be careful. I highly recommend you have someone older help you get the package open. Now we need to find a drill bit and the correct collet. We need to drill at least one hole. A lot, if not all top racers, inset their dominant front wheel 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. This helps keep the rear wheels evenly spaced off of the track rails. So you can see I've added another cut line here. Alright, now that we have our holes drilled, we need to get the bit in there in order to be able to make those inside cuts. So you're going to loosen up the handle again, take an edge, push against it, and now we need to put the bit in, thinking about which way we're going to cut, remembering that the teeth are facing forward. So I want to cut down and hope that our hole is just big enough. If not, you may have to make it a little bigger with the Dremel tool. All right. Now that we have the blade through, we need to get this back up here so that we can reinsert it into the handle. I always put the side furthest from me in first. And that way when I put the pressure up here, I can see what I'm doing easier. Alright, once the blade's back in, we're going to tighten this back up. We're going to clamp our block back up.